Hello. It's Rebecca. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? It's so great to have you stop by today. In case this is the first time that we're meeting, welcome to my channel. My name is Rebecca. I'm the founder of Vibrant Rebel. My sole mission is to empower you to break free from the traditional restrictive narratives around weight loss, those dieting mentalities. And I want to help you shift your focus from the external, all of the diets and programs, to the internal transformation that we all should be focusing on, that we often forget about. And I want to help you unlock your personal power and cultivate self-love as the foundation for sustainable weight loss and a vibrant life. So today's topic: what kind of diet should you eat to lose weight? I see this question a lot. I had a client once who asked me, well, if you follow the ketogenic diet, why is it not something that you actually recommend? So the ketogenic way of eating is a way of, I call it a way of eating. I don't actually call it a diet. The word diet actually gets a really bad rap. And what is it? Foodways, the types of foods that comprise your diet. We've made it this really bad thing, but it's really not. So let's get that right out of the way. Ketogenic way of eating is the way that I've mostly eaten, I'd say 95% of the time for the last almost 11 years now. Now, it's not that I didn't lose weight before from eating a carbohydrate heavy diet. I did. And it's not that I went from a carbohydrate heavy diet to a ketogenic way of eating, or a ketogenic diet, if you will, because I wanted to be in restriction, or I felt it was necessary to eliminate an entire food group. It wasn't that. It was that I was on this path to discovery. And that's the same path that you have to get on, is the path to discovery. Your own experiment, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but that is what has worked for me. And one of the things that I discovered along the way was that when I used to do kickboxing sessions, I remember feeling extremely tired after I got done kickboxing. Like, I would literally have to take a nap. And it took me a really long time to figure out why that was happening. Now, it could have been carbohydrate timing. It could have been I wasn't eating enough carbohydrate prior to and then fueling with some afterwards. That's a timing issue. It could have been a myriad of things. My blood sugar was tanking afterwards. So you think, okay, well, is that probable? I don't know. That was maybe like I'm speaking to years ago. All I know is that that doesn't happen now. And the reason why it doesn't happen now is because my body, I've trained it this way to use fats for fuel primarily. I don't eat hardly any carbohydrate. I'm just going to be honest with you. I occasionally will eat some beans. I will eat some lentils because I just love beans. I do. I don't do very well digesting them. So it sort of makes me think that all of these years, I didn't do very well just digesting the carbohydrate. Had a very abnormal response to them. I could eat something and then my body would go into this weird thing where it would think, oh, I'm really hungry, like ravenously hungry. And today it doesn't seem to matter whether it's fiber, whether it's some other thing that I ate. It could be beans, it could be a salad, it could be, any of those, it could be fruit, and I'd feel hungrier sooner. So for me, it just feels like it's been the right answer for me. It's also laughable to me when I hear people say that the ketogenic diet, the ketogenic way of eating is not sustainable, because I've known people who have been eating this way for 20, 25 years. I think there are probably entire populations that have eaten this way if you look at the studies. And I think that it just makes me wonder sometimes if we get really attached to certain food groups and certain foods. We know that we need protein and fat, There's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Look it up. I was shocked when I read that when I was doing my master's degree in nutrition. It was in the nutrition book. They're in black and white. But that doesn't mean that I'm against carbohydrate. It just means that for me, it hasn't worked out very well for me. It means that I was crashing after my workouts. It means that now I don't crash after my workouts. It means that I can get through a day and I don't feel like I have to take a nap in the afternoon. It means that I can have boundless energy when I play racquetball, and I don't have to get home and think, what time am I going to go to sleep, and how long do I need to sleep to feel like I need to recover? Now, rest is a little bit different because there's nothing wrong with resting, taking the BCAAs for muscle recovery and all of that stuff. But I'm just strictly talking about what to eat and what diet should you follow. Well, I don't know. What diet should you follow? What diet do you want to follow? This is the way I'm going to say it. What diet would you like to start with first? You could try any of them. There's so many different ones. And I think what's really comical is sometimes we've put ourselves in these silos, whether it's carnivore or it's keto, or I think there's this new term called ketovore, which that's completely new for me. Then you have people that are plant-based, and then you can run the gamut on the types of dieting ways, food ways that actually exist. I'm going to be really honest with you. Just pick one that sounds good, and then I will tell you where to start with it. But pick one that has your food groups that you really like. Why did I choose the ketogenic diet? Well, in the beginning, I thought, oh my God, it has all my favorite foods. Like, why would I want, now this is processed foods. I love the cream cheese. I love the sour cream. I love cheese. I love every dairy product on God's green earth. Was like, oh yeah, come on, baby. But of course, I've eliminated like a lot of those now. But 5 years ago, I thought to myself, just kill me now. If you tell me that I have to get rid of the cheese, then I just don't even know what I'm going to do. Like, what am I going to eat? But there's no reason to define it as ketogenic or carnivore, or I've heard this new one, the lion diet. And all, I'm not judging any of these. All of them have a place, and a lot of people use them because they are like, I have reached the end of my rope and I want to find out what is going on with my body. Great, go for it. Collect some data, experiment, make it one big adventure, see what you come up with, document everything, and then see what else you need to change. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want you who is just starting to say, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to take the leap from where I am right now all the way over here. Don't do that. It's not even necessary to do that. It's okay. In case you needed permission, it's okay to eat protein, carbohydrate, and fat. It's okay to do that. Now, some caveats with that, and we'll get into that in just a second, I promise. But I want you to feel free to enjoy all three food groups, and then later you can decide if there is something that you need to modify, but start out with that. I know, I get it, it's confusing. I get it. I asked that too. What should I do? What should I follow? I have evolved so many times, like over the last 35 years of doing this. So if you're thinking what I was thinking, well, who's right? Who do I listen to? I still collect data. I still follow perspectives. I still think about, is this still right for me? Do I feel good? These are things that I'm thinking about every single day. I read so many books on diets. I read the book, I referred to this in the video that I made about my personal weight loss journey, and the book that I read, it was like years ago, it said that I could eat 2 or 3 bagels per day. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the bagels. And I'm not saying necessarily that there is anything wrong with the bagels unless you are wheat sensitive. It jacks up your blood sugar, makes you want to eat more, makes you crave things. Then you have like food seeking behaviors. If all of those things are happening, then wheat might not be for you. That's what was happening for me, but it took me like barely 20 years to figure that out. But what I'm saying is, so many channels have so much information that it's sometimes hard to know where to start. But this is where I would start. Just going to look down at my notes here. You might not like number 1, but this is where I would start. I would do everything within my power to start reducing the sugar and the flour. Yes, I'm talking about white refined sugar, even the brown sugar, and the flour. White flour, wheat flour, every kind of flour. Now, you can look at it and you could say, okay, well, baby steps, yes. I started originally subbing things out, and I would use flax meal, the golden flax meal. I would use almond meal and experiment with those. Take the foods that I liked and start creating other things, because you can't look at it with a mentality of, I'm getting rid of this thing, I can never have this again. Sure you can. You could have it again. You could have it in the next 5 minutes if you wanted to. But I want you to start thinking in advance, how does this food make me feel? And here's the funny thing. You might not even be aware of how food makes you feel until you start eliminating things. That's what happened to me with wheat. I did an experiment with this muesli that I always thought was really healthy, and I was doing all of these amazing things for my body. I hadn't eaten it for maybe like 7 months. And then I bought 2 bags of it. And it had a lot of different things, had barley, all of the things that we hear that are on the good list of the things that make us feel great. And then I started eating it, and then I started to notice that I had food-seeking behaviors. I was hungrier. I started feeling desperate to eat something. And then I thought, okay, I haven't felt this in months. What did I change? The only thing that I had really changed was I re-implemented the muesli cereal that I so loved. I had to get to the place, I was already there, but I had to get to the place of saying, if it doesn't make me feel good, if it is detrimental to my goals, then it must go. Must go. This is one of those things where it's hard to make a decision sometimes of saying, this must go and cannot be a part of my life going forward. Why? We talked about the why in the weight loss journey video that I created. The why is so important. Why? Because I don't want to feel out of control, because I don't want to feel like I have these food-seeking behaviors that are beyond what I feel like I can do on a daily basis. Don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel like I'm ravenously hungry and I would probably eat a chair if it were next to me. Yes, I have literally felt that. So muesli has to go. The next thing I would do is I would begin to reduce and eliminate all of the foods that have a barcode. Everything that comes prepackaged in a box, in a bag, in a package. Yes, I get it. Aldi has barcodes on their pears. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the things that come pre-cooked, pre-this, pre-that, pre-manufactured. Seriously, I look at some of these things today and I think, how did I ever think that some of this was even food? How did I think it was even food? It's not food. These things are made to be highly palatable. It will definitely turn on the food-seeking behaviors. They'll definitely give you the dopamine hit. They will definitely cause you to be hungry, rises in blood glucose. All of those things that can be detrimental to the goals, to the healthy body that you want to create. So you don't have to eliminate them. You don't have to go cold turkey all at once. But if you just start reducing them, a little bit more each week. Go to the store and you think, okay, well, last week I bought doing something good for my body. So I've switched over to the Ruffles potato chips. Sorry, Ruffles. Switched over to these potato chips. And now I'm eating the sweet potatoes. Okay, that's a step in the right direction. How many bags of those are you buying per week? If you bought less bags of it and started to have less portions of it, and then the next week you did even less, and then you did even less. You don't have to go cold turkey on any of this. Just start to reduce the quantity of bags, the quantity of boxes, the quantity of things that you're purchasing. Well, to have this healthy body that I want, then I can't have X, Y, and Z, then I can't have the cookies, or I can't have the brownies, or I can't have the cheesecake. You see where my mind goes automatically, right? Because those were all of my favorite foods. I can't have all of these things. No, find healthier versions. You can have all of those things. I want you to think about, how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel at the end of today? How do you want to feel at the end of tomorrow, at the end of the month, at the end of the year? Once you've practiced these and you've implemented these habits on a daily basis, say that again. How do you want to feel? All right, let's move on. My next thing would be concentrating on the whole foods. So once we've taken out step number 1, that would be my first thing for you. Don't change anything else, just the sugar, white sugar, flour, all types of flour, wheat flour specifically. And then start to reduce and eventually eliminate the processed foods. Everything comes in a box, bag, package, everything that is on all of the aisles that you don't really need to go down. Makes shopping so much more affordable and so much faster. You literally don't have to spend an hour in the store because you're going to shop the perimeter anyway. I'm sure you've heard people talk about that. And then concentrating on eating the whole foods. And I know that you're thinking, okay, seriously, I don't have all of this time in a day, in a week, to just continuously be slaving over the stove. No, I get it. But this is what I want to say. Cooking healthy meals, healthier, good for you, foods that are going to make you feel good, doesn't have to be complicated. It can be fast. Because there's only a few things that you really need to think about. You need to think about your protein and your fat, whether or not you're going to have a carbohydrate. Squash, yellow squash, roasted squash, broccoli. You're thinking, oh, but those are vegetables. Well, see how rice makes you feel. See how barley, quinoa, all of those, check them out and see how they make you feel. And then you can decide whether or not in the long term they will be a part of the things that you eat on a daily basis. Remember, this is not about going cold turkey right away. This is taking steps to reduce and or eliminate the things that are preventing you from reaching your goals and creating the healthy body that you want, and slowly implementing things that are getting you closer to your goals. All right, there's no need to focus on more than this to start. Otherwise, you're just gonna fall off the wagon. I have been there. I have done that many, 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 many times. And I've already mentioned this before. Yes, I made some decisions. Yes, I said these foods would be no longer a part of my life. And I did go cold turkey. I did. But that doesn't mean that you have to, because what works for me didn't work for you. It might not work for you. And I tried that in the past before. I might not have had a clear enough why behind the reasons why I wanted to create the healthy body, why I wanted to lose weight. But something changed for me in 2014. You could be at that point, and if you were at the point where you've got enough energy behind you that you say, I refuse to accept that this is my life, I am not living this way any longer, then make some decisions. You can go cold turkey, but that's not what I would recommend for everyone. Whether you do or whether you don't, go cold turkey on all of the things that I'm telling you is not something that you should beat yourself up about. Do you feel into it? Feel into what you feel will work for you. And then make some decisions, some solid decisions. Get behind your why, get some energy behind it, feel into it, and just go, yes, this is for me. This is what I'm doing right now. Next week, I could focus on something else, but this is what I'm doing right now. So you're thinking, yeah, but I heard that in order to lose weight and create the body that I want, don't calories matter? Shouldn't I be in a caloric deficit? Well, yeah, I mean, we can't dispute the science. And anyone who tells you anything different, really sorry to tell you, they are lying to you. People have decided to sugarcoat the whole calories in, calories out thing. And yes, there are some limitations to it, but most of us are not there at the limitation part of it early on in the journey. So that's not even what we're worried about. If we're just getting started, All right. I want to caution you on a couple things, and I want to say that if you change too many things at once, you might end up creating a lot of pain around the changes that you want to implement. Because you have to remember that your brain is wired for survival. And if it has come to understand that you have all of these things around you and they're part of your life and they're supporting you and your lifestyle and your emotional state, and you start getting rid of everything, your brain could go, I don't know what's happening and I don't like it. Where are all my favorite things? The brain does like routine. Routines are not necessarily bad, but routines get stored in the subconscious mind. And sometimes there are routines, habits that we need to break. And because they become so programmed into the subconscious mind, it makes it not so easy to do. So you have to be really intentional about it. My next precaution for you is I want you to reduce and eliminate things slowly. I kind of sort of mentioned this already. Going cold turkey, if you're not ready, I mean, you have to be ready, I feel like, for any of these. If you're not ready, you won't be doing any of these. And I believe that you can. I believe that you can, because if you have a desire to create a healthy body, you know deep in your heart that there are things that you need to change, and you're just trying to get over the hump. You're just trying to figure out, well, I don't know how to convince my brain to do that. What's your why? Why do you want to do it? Why do you want a healthy body? Do you have young children that you want to be able to get down on the floor with and play with? Do you have a daughter who has maybe Down syndrome or who is developmentally disabled and you want to be around for her to be able to take care of her long term? What is your why? Do you want to feel better in 6 months? Do you want to feel better in 3 months? How about 3 weeks? Could you get to the point where you just say, I've just had enough. I don't want to feel this way. And I'm willing to go on this adventure, this journey, and I'm willing to see what's on the other side. Willing to see what's on the other side. And in order to see, and in order to get going and keep going on that journey, one habit at a time. Take out one thing at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. Just go slowly. You don't have to go cold turkey. And the third on this list is don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right. Because what is getting it right? What is that? Getting it right. I don't have all the answers. You know your body. I know my body. What's right for you might not be right for someone else. What's right for me might not be right for you. But what is getting it right? It only applies to you. So you can't get it wrong. You literally can't get it wrong. And I want you to reframe your weight loss journey in this way. Don't implement something, a diet, a food way, a way of eating just to lose weight. Do it because it makes you feel good. Do it because you'll create better habits. Do it because it supports what you want. Do it because it will give you the life that you want. It will give you the energy that you want, the stamina that you want, the vibrance that you want. Oh, and one note. You should enjoy your food. Not food as punishment. Not, well, all of these hyper palatable foods. I'm going to ditch all those and I'm just going to go eat grilled chicken and broccoli. Because, yeah, I used to think a long time ago that that was really what losing weight was all about, that I had to eat food that was bland. I'm not going to lie, in 2014, when I was prescribed the one protein sparing modified fast where they eliminated all of the fat, there was obviously a big part of me that said, I know I can't live this way for the rest of my life. This is awful. I did it for several months, for about 6 months, although I had already modified and had reintroduced like some fat back into it, just through my own investigations at that time. But what I'm saying to you is enjoy your food. There's a reason why you have sensors on your tongue that can taste food. It can taste sweet and sour and savory and all of those things. There's a reason why they're there. But I don't want you to punish yourself with food. And I don't want you to look at food as the enemy. I did that for years. Food is not the enemy. I want you to enjoy every single bite that crosses your lips and goes down the hatch. Okay? Here's another one. Don't exercise to lose weight. Here's the way I want you to enjoy movement. I want you to enjoy movement because it makes you feel good. You're communing with nature. You're having fun with your dog as you guys go out on a walk and you explore. You're enjoying the evening with the sun setting. You're having fun on a racquetball court. You're kicking some butt in a kickboxing session right by yourself with the music cranked up as loud as you can go. Or you're doing a weightlifting session that makes you stronger. Do something that's good for your body, your mind, your soul, your physical wellness, your heart, your cells, something that makes you stronger, not to lose weight. Because if you read all of the studies, it's not that they have a direct effect necessarily on calorie burn and all of that. And you can go down the rabbit hole with which ones are better and all of that. It's undeniable that it helps accelerate weight loss because it has a lot of different effects in the body. You can find that information anywhere. But what I want you to focus on is just how you feel when you move your body. There's a reason why we have muscle. There's a reason why we have tendons and ligaments and strength and levels of all of it, and it's because we were made to move. So enjoy it. Have fun with it. Don't use it as a way to punish your body. Use it as a way to unleash the vibrance inside your body and understand all that it's capable of. And here's my final note on that one of reframing this weight loss journey. So I want you to think of it as one big adventure. Because everything is an experiment. Let's try an example on for size. Now let's say that you have worked towards reducing your packaged foods and you're thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do about bread because I love the bread. Me, it was relatively easy for me because while it was kind of like a staple in the things that I ate, it wasn't, I didn't have an attachment to it like it feels like a lot of people have, where they're just like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do without the bread. If I can't eat bread, I think it's just not worth it. That was totally worth it. Here's the thing. If you experiment and you go to a website like, there's one that I absolutely love, and it's called All Day I Dream About Food. It's funny to me because I feel like was me like years ago. That's probably what I did all day, was dream about food. But if you go to that website and you're looking for substitutions in probably just about any area that you could think of, and you're thinking, well, I'm going to experiment with a type of bread. Maybe it's a muffin, or maybe it's a savory bread. They have all kinds of recipes there that will fit the bill. And so all you have to do is just experiment with it. See, is it plausible that I could release myself from the attachment here with this white bread or wheat bread, or I don't even, what other kind of breads are there these days? I don't even remember anymore. There used to be a type of bread that I think it was made with oats, and that was probably the favorite one that I like, had oats and nuts and I don't know what else. You can still use nuts and all of those different recipes. Find one as you go through, like in a website like that, alldayadreamaboutfood.com, and see what fits the bill right now. What could my brain get on board with that seems like something that would be good? You could experiment with sugars like stevia and erythritol blends, like pyure, for example. You could actually experiment with allulose. There's so many different ways that you can experiment with these types of, if it's looking for like a sweet bread that you're looking for. Now, the bread that I was referring to was like a savory bread, like the oat bread. There are so many different recipes that you could just experiment with and try it on for size. If you don't like it, then try something else. That's okay too. Try a different kind of recipe and just keep going. You could do it with pizza. That was a big thing. My other example was, because I thought for the longest time, this was probably about 6 years ago, after I'd lost, 93 pounds and was holding relatively steady for several years. And I thought, well, I can implement pizza again and see like how it actually works for me. Well, pizza is bread, it's wheat. I don't know what else they put in it, leavening agents and, a whole bunch of others, tomato sauce and all of the other kinds of meats. And I don't know what all of the processed meats like have in them. I don't really eat processed meat, but on the pizza, that's what they're going to serve you for the most part. So I would have like a couple of slices, and then I would have these awful like palpitations for like hours. It would happen to my husband too, for hours afterwards. Just completely activate the sympathetic nervous system. And it was so uncomfortable. Sitting in a chair, it literally felt like I was doing a high intensity interval training session for like an hour. It was just awful. So I kept thinking, I said, okay, well, it's been too long since I've had pizza, but I'm going to have to get to the point. And it could take a while for some of us, because some of us are a little bit more stubborn than others. Takes one to know one. It took me a while to say, okay, here's the thing. I need to eliminate this from my foodways. And how am I going to do that? Well, the easiest way to do it is, instead of just eliminating something, is to find a replacement for it. So I experimented with a lot of different types of pizza crusts, whether it was combinations of mozzarella cheese with almond flour and like the whole like recipe, or I can't think of all of the different variations, but I have a lot of those recipes downstairs. But I just kept experimenting until I found a texture that I liked, until I found something that my brain went, this is tasty. Yeah, this is good. I really like it. Experiment with the levels of salt and pepper and garlic and Italian seasoning. And then when you've nailed that, it's really not that difficult to let the other thing go. But that's how I did it, was just making the decision. And even if I didn't make the decision, it was like contemplating and saying, okay, brain, we know that we don't feel good eating this food for whatever reason. So let's find a different way to create this that I enjoy and that my husband enjoys. And then let's make it into something that's delicious and something that feels good when we eat it. And remember that anything can be modified at any given time. Anytime. You're not stuck to any one protocol. You don't have to adhere to any one protocol. You're not breaking the rules if you do it your own way. In fact, I think you should do it your own way. I think that's the only way that this will work. But I want you to get used to releasing this dieting mentality. I think I sort of understand why they say that, quote, diets don't work. And it's really because a lot of us have really adopted these ideas where they're really restrictive, and we eliminate entire food groups before we understand the reasons why we're actually doing them, why we're actually eliminating them, why we're doing it. And maybe we listen to someone else who said, carbs are bad. Well, are they bad for you though? I mean, they don't jive with my system, but are they bad for you? And I don't mean the term like bad, but can you digest them? Do you get normal glucose reactions to them? Are you hungry? Do you have food-seeking behaviors? And this is not about diagnosing or like any of that, but I'm just throwing out some questions out there to get you to think about the different ways of which you can implement something that works for you. And it doesn't have to just be, well, I listened to this one person and this is what they said that I should do. Well, try it on for size, see if it works, and then be okay if it doesn't. It's not that that person was wrong. It's not that they got it wrong. It's not that you found the Holy Grail or someone else did. Just try it on for size. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. That's okay, because everything is an experiment. See everything as an adventure and know that everything can be modified at any given time. It's called free will, right? So release the dieting mentality. Think of this as, I'm doing this right now because I feel good. I could change it in 6 months. I could adapt something totally new. I can adopt something totally new in 6 months, or 9 months, or a year, or 10. It's up to you. But I want you to ask yourself one question every single day. Here goes. How do you want to feel today? Say to yourself when you wake up in the morning, first thing, how do I want to feel today? Do I feel energetic, joyful, playful, focused? And then ask yourself, what habits will get me there? What habits do I have now will get me there? What habits do I need to implement to get me there? You could also journal it out if you want to. That creates extra intention, brings the focus right into what you're trying to achieve. At the end of the day, this is about being deliberate in your thoughts. This is about taking it to the next level and thinking about, what do I deliberately want to create? I want to be intentional in my creation of a healthy body. I want to be intentional about my habits. I want to be intentional with the food I'm eating. I want to be intentional with the actions that I take that support the goals that I've outlined with the desires of my heart. Be deliberate in your action. Everything that has ever been created started with a thought. And the creation of your healthy body is certainly no different. All right, that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to share it with someone that you feel would be inspired by it. And if you feel so inclined, you're welcome to like and subscribe. Send me a note if you have a question. Feel free to comment below. All right. Hope you have an amazing day. Make it a vibrant day. We'll talk soon. Cheers.